Well, our guest today is a longtime listener, first-time guest. We appreciate the love. Kyler Borthwick is joining us, but not to talk about how much he loves the podcast. Instead, he's here to help us celebrate Pride Month as the very first transgender man on our show. Woo-hoo! Welcome, Kyler.
Thank you, guys. It's great to be here.
Now, I just got to call out how you stole my teenage Jessie hairstyle, and you're making me want to bleach my hair again. Jenna, you're going to have to stop me.
You'll never get the blue eyes to go with it, though, Jessie.
I know. And we tried. Color contacts, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe I showed my hairdresser a picture of Jessie and was like, this is what I want to look like. Who knows, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, there's a movie about that. Maybe we should end this show.
Oh, Swim Fan or whatever?
Yeah, Swim Fan. I couldn't think of the title. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think you look fantastic. You look great.
Thank you.
And what's really interesting is we have watched you transition over the last few years. And so, unlike other guests, we've had Lana Paulson, who's a transgender woman. We've only known her as Lana, but we got to watch your transition, which was so enlightening. And I found it so educational as well, and it felt like I could feel your spirit change in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I actually just celebrated my 1 year coming out as trans on Monday.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and today is actually 8 months on testosterone, so it's a great fucking week for me, to be honest.
Happy Pride.
Exactly, happy Pride. Yeah. But yeah, no, I feel I feel so much better just getting to this place that I'm at now. It's just amazing. From where I was even just a little over a year ago, before I came out, to now is it's such a difference.
Because you're living in your own skin now. The inside finally matches the outside.
Exactly.
What a good feeling. It's like being your authentic self is what life's all about. Jenna keeps trying to tell me that. I'm not listening. But you figured it out. Good for you. So 1 year, how long have you known you were trans? Is this something you've known your whole life?
Actually, it's not something that I've known my whole life. I know that a lot of trans people have a story of like, oh, I knew when I was 5. My story is a little different. I didn't know when I was young. And I mean, there was definitely parts of my childhood where I questioned my gender. I can remember being 5 years old and asking my mom, like, why does my brother get to be the boy? And when am I going to get a penis? And my mom's like, you're a girl, you're not going to get a penis. And that's just how it works. And so I was like, all right, like, I just accepted that. And then when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I had really long blonde hair as a child, and I decided I want to cut all my hair off. And my mom had a rough time with that, but she let me do it anyways. And I was a tomboy as well, so I got mistaken as a boy a lot during that time. And I never corrected people for whatever reason. I just didn't my mom would be like, oh, well, like, why don't you tell them you're a girl? And looking back now, it kind of makes sense. It kind of is like, well, I didn't want to be a girl probably. So, but I just didn't have the language to really express that. I didn't know what a trans person was until honestly, probably when I was 20 years old and I was watching the show, The L Word. I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
Oh, yes.
But the character Max, I didn't know what trans was until I saw Max on The L Word. But even at that point, I wasn't like, that wasn't something that I had even considered doing. I came out as a lesbian when I was 18 years old, and that still didn't feel fully aligned with me. But like, I was like, well, there's nothing else I can do. This is, I'm a lesbian. There's nothing else I can do. Like, this is how I have to live my life,
Yeah.
So I didn't really consider transitioning until probably I was in my mid-20s, and I had I was performing as a drag king, actually, and I had gotten a binder for the first time. And I don't know if you guys know what a binder is, but
oh, yes,
we do, but explain it because some of our listeners won't know.
Yeah, so it's like a really tight compression shirt that you wear underneath your clothing to appear more masculine. It flattens your chest. And so I had tried on a binder for the first time, and that was just life changing for me. I was like, holy shit, like, I really like how I look. And not only did I wear the binder for drag, but I also started wearing it in everyday life. So I've been wearing a binder for the past like 5 or 6, 7 years, maybe even. And I absolutely loved that. And I kind of was like, wow, I really hate my chest. And I had trans friends at that point in my life. And so it was something that I had thought about, but I was like, there's no way that I could, be trans. I can't come out as trans. That's way too scary.
So it's interesting though, that there wasn't a defining moment. Like, I think a lot of the time people have this aha moment where they realize that they're gay or straight, or you just always know it. With you, it's like it took a few different events to make you realize.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always felt as a girl growing up, I always felt uncomfortable, but I never really knew why. And again, I didn't know what transgender was, so I didn't really realize that there was something that I could do about that feeling.
Right. But I think with the moral of your story, that it is different than other stories we have heard, is that everyone's story is different. And some people are going to come to a realization earlier on than others, or maybe you're just a little confused and need a little bit more time to figure out what it is. But, I think as trans becomes, and like educating about trans right now, and especially for people that just cannot get it, cannot seem to get it. It's important, I think, for everyone to share their stories so that everyone knows that they are different, that, no one is the same. Like, no, do you call it coming out story?
Yeah.
Or transitioning story?
I mean, either one would work. Yeah.
Either or, not everyone's the same. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That's an important point. It's like they're human or something.
Right.
Wow, what a concept.
Everybody's different. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine. And I think it's important also to highlight the difference between gender and sexual orientation, right? You could be transgender and then now all of a sudden you're gay. Are you still attracted to women?
Yes, I am only attracted to women. Yes.
So now you're kind of like a heterosexual guy.
Yes, in a sense, yes. I still very much like to, hang out in the queer community and
of course.
Like that, but yes.
Yeah, I said that because nobody wants to be a heterosexual guy these days. Those are like the worst.
That is accurate.
Yeah, no.
And trust me, most of them are useless anyways.
Kyler, how did your family react when they found out?
Well, when I was feeling a lot of fear, but right before I was coming out, and the thing that scared me the most was coming out to my mom and coming out to work were the two big ones for me. So I told my mom about a couple days before my birthday last year, actually. Unfortunately, it was over video chat because of COVID,
right.
But I was supposed to be going out to the house that day to celebrate a little family birthday party for myself. And I had messaged her to ask her, when I get to the house, can you and I have a little chat? There's something I want to tell you. And that got her so freaked out that she was like, no, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you dying? Like, what do you need to talk about? So then I ended up having to just call her at that time and tell her. And at that point, I was kind of really just still exploring like a name and if I was going to go on testosterone and all that kind of stuff. So I called her on video chat and I kind of explained, like, this is a situation. I don't feel comfortable in my gender. I'm going to transition and stuff like that. And she rejected everything that I was saying to her. So everything that I said, it was just no. So she had a really rough time with that. So that was a little difficult for me. I wasn't really sure where to go with that next. I basically just told her, I'm going to continue on with the journey and hopefully you can catch up. I wasn't sure if I should take space from her or what I should have done. Looking back now, I'm absolutely grateful that I did not take space, as I didn't know that I would only have 7 months left with her. But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's kind of how Kyler and I started chatting again. He sent me the nicest message when I lost my mom, because you went through it less than a year ago yourself. So
yeah,
maybe they're hanging out together on a cloud.
Probably.
When you were going through that part and, having to deal with, your mom and her reaction and also trying to figure out, you said testosterone, did you have someone guiding you and helping you, whether it was professional or?
Yeah, actually I did. So I had a really close friend of mine who's trans, and I had been talking with him for quite a while about the idea of transitioning. I'd seen a bunch of trans guys getting top surgery, and I was so jealous, and I was like, I really want that for myself. And I was talking to him about that stuff, and this was actually beginning of March last year, so right before COVID hit. So I was talking to him about it, and he was like, I know that it's so scary, but like once you just come out and do it, like it's gonna be life changing, and it's gonna be amazing. So I then actually, like 3 weeks later, COVID hit. I got laid off from my job, and
Oh,
I was like, man, if I'm gonna do this, there is literally no better time than now, when I have like 2.5 months off work, where I can figure out what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. And so I started to take steps to transition. I got in touch with a therapist at the beginning of April last year, and she had dealt with a lot of people that had transitioned. And so our initial call, I don't even think I got 2 words out before I broke down. I just started crying. I was like, I can't live like this anymore.
wow. That's like Jen on a first date, you know? Wow. So the floodgates open because you were that ready, and that's how badly your soul wanted to be there.
Yeah. I was definitely ready. So yeah, I saw a therapist for several months, and she helped me a lot. And then also just trans friends that I had and stuff helped me as well.
Did you decide to start taking testosterone? Or yes, you did mention that already. Have you noticed any weird side effects from it? Because you hear crazy things.
Yeah, so I started testosterone in October. I haven't noticed any crazy changes.
Nothing you didn't want anyway.
No.
Yeah, right.
No, not yet. No, probably just my voice has changed a lot, and I have a little bit of facial hair that's getting like thicker and growing in more. And
how about your temper? Are you like road raging now? Like wanting to start fights at the gym?
What gym? What gym?
Yeah, right.
Nothing's been opened.
I'm living in the past. I'm living when I had hair like that.
No, actually, I was worried about that, because I'd heard stories of other trans guys and having that issue. No, I haven't had anything like that.
Great.
Yeah. Do you think that trans men have it easier or harder than trans women?
I would 100% say that trans men have it easier.
Easier. Is that just because the thing like butch women get away with more than effeminate guys do?
Well, I just think it's a lot easier for trans guys to just transition and just pass, like in general. Like even if I wasn't on testosterone and stuff, like I could easily pass as a guy. And so like I just think it's just easier that way too.
Right. Yeah. Do you have something, Jenna?
No. I was going to
I thought you were going to say
and I mean, estrogen is powerful. Hormones are so powerful too, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Roar.
Yeah.
Is there anything about your former life that you miss that you didn't think you would? Because I know, like, I mean, if I had to give up my like Victoria's Secret brassiere collection, are you kidding me? I would be furious. They make some nice brassieres.
I wouldn't know.
Right. We're different that way.
Right.
No, I really don't think. Not that I can think of. I don't think there's anything that I really miss about my old life. No.
That means you made the right decision.
Do you have any plans moving forward? Are you content where you're at right now, or?
Transition wise, or just like in general?
Just life in general, it can include transition wise, or, because right now, I mean, you said you announced, what was it? You said a year ago. So you've been in COVID this whole time.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You haven't been able to go out and celebrate and really enjoy what our world used to be like normally, like going out to restaurants and, going to music festivals as Kyler now. Like, do you have any plans? Are you going to ball out like hookers and blow for everybody?
Yeah, exactly. No,
It's interesting though, because you're right. As soon as you go out now, it's going to be like, who are you? You're going to meet people for the first time all over again because they won't recognize you.
Yeah, that actually has been like a weird like fear of mine, right? Because every time I go out in public, I'm like, if people don't have Facebook or what, for whatever reason, they don't know that I've started transitioning. If they see me or whatever, right? And I'm like, they're gonna call me by my old name, and they're not gonna know, and I'm gonna have to explain it to them and stuff. Luckily, that hasn't happened or anything like that. So
Good.
that was a fear of mine. Yeah.
Are you comfortable explaining that to people that you do run into that are going to have questions? You know, are you okay with answering those? Because I think a lot of people would love to be able to ask questions, but everyone has a certain amount of boundaries, right? You don't want to be invasive, but you also want to educate yourself. And the best way to do it is by speaking to someone directly going through it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as people are asking it for like, you know, just to kind of learn about it, I don't mind. And I'll answer literally any questions people have as long as it's, you know, because they want to learn something and not because they're, you know,
right,
being rude or anything like that. Yeah.
Is there anything that you really just is off bounds that you would suggest for anyone who is speaking to anyone from the trans community where it's just one thing you don't say?
I know it's a big faux pas to ask about bottom surgery.
Yeah. I mean, for most people, like, yeah, they don't want to talk about that. Again, like I would talk about that. Like every trans person is different on what they don't and do want to talk about. I just like to talk about it because what really helped like inspire me to come out was other people that I saw posting about their stories and everything like that and how open they were. And so that really helped me like figure out who I was. So that's kind of why I want to be so open about my transition to help other people.
Well, and that even started at the very beginning. You said you learned, like, that's why I always say representation matters, because the L Word, like, if we think about when that show first came out and that there was a show like that, just like Queer as Folk as well, it was quite shocking back then. Now it's kind of, okay. Yeah, I mean, they made a new one again, right? Didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
A new L Word. You know, but that's why representation in shows like that matter, because that was your first, you know, introduction to someone who's trans.
Yeah.
And
it probably wasn't the best first trans person for me to see. You know, they really, the way they portrayed Max probably isn't like very accurate to how transitioning from female to male is, you know, like, because you did see him get pretty you know, explosive and violent and stuff in the show, which is not necessarily true for every trans person. It's more likely not true than true. So,
well, you know, Richard Simmons wasn't the best gay guy for me to see at first either, but at least it was something. So we take what we can get back then. And I'm older than you. How did you choose your name?
My name, that's an interesting one. All right, so I knew that I wanted to stick with a K name. My birth name started with a K, and I really just, for whatever reason, I wanted to stick with a K name. So I just started looking up a list of different K names, and I came across 3 that I liked. Kyler, Colton, and Caden were the 3 that I liked. And so I was actually dating someone when I started my transition, and she, since there were like COVID and everything, she was really the only person that I was hanging out with in person. So she was like, well, why don't we, you know, I'll start calling you Kyler and we'll see how it goes and how it sounds. And so that's what we did. I started going by Kyler. I started telling a couple of my close friends, like, I'm going to start going by Kyler. Please call me Kyler with he, him pronouns. And that was how it started. And it just kind of stuck. I really liked the name. I found that it suited me. And
yeah, I like 100% agree with you. Can't see you as a Caden, can't see you as a Colton. Definitely. I like that name. At first I thought you were going to say I liked Kyle and I liked Tyler. So I just combine them all together.
Yeah, no, well, I have met someone named Kyle. Like I worked with someone named Kyler way back when I was working on my first jobs, but that wasn't like, even when I picked the name Kyler, it wasn't even like, I didn't like, when I met him, I didn't like the name Kyler or anything. It just, it was just later on now when I was like, oh, I kind of like that name. And
funny, you know, Oprah talks about these universe whispers, maybe meeting that guy was the whisper, like the foreshadowing, this name is going to come up in your life again.
Maybe. Yeah.
You can tell I've been reading a lot of Hocus Pocus books.
Really?
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of names, though, you had to go through the whole name change. you had to change. Did you officially change your gender as well?
So this past Friday, I actually just filled out all the forms to change my gender marker on my birth certificate. So that'll take a couple of weeks to come back.
How was that process? Because I mean, I know what it's like to like lose a piece of ID and it's really annoying. Probably having to go through all that is quite a lot of work.
Yeah, well, so last year I did my official name change. So I filled all that out, and then it was it sucked because I had to order, like I had lost my original birth certificate, so I had to order a birth certificate in my old name in order to do a name change. So I literally had to get a birth certificate with my old name on it just to send it back to them to do my name change. But yeah, it actually wasn't too bad. It was like 3 forms. I had to have one of them notarized by a lawyer. And then I had to send like my old birth certificate back with them. But it was actually pretty simple. It was pretty simple.
Okay, good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, and I had my name changed on my driver's license and my health card, and I just put the gender as like X on my driver's license for now until I get the paperwork back and officially change my gender marker.
Wow.
Well, I love that you kept the first letter the same. Ellen Page, Elliot Page, love it. You know, why didn't Caitlyn Jenner do this properly? She had to go and be difficult and put a C. I was so mad when that happened. She should have kept a K.
I still to this day think it was a bit of a jab at the Kardashians because they're all
of course.
She was like, I'm going to be a C, but still the same sound.
Yeah. What is your opinion of Caitlyn Jenner? I know a lot of trans people don't like her.
I don't really have an opinion.
Okay, fair enough.
Caitlyn Jenner, to be honest. I do know a lot of people that are not a fan of hers. To be honest, I'm not really 100% sure.
I think I know why, because she is a very political, like she's a little bit conservative on the conservative
Republican
side. Yeah. So I think that just rubs a lot of, you know, liberal people just the wrong way in general. So when it comes to it, I think and also, you know, the whole thing just seemed like part of the show. And for a lot of trans people, it wasn't a show. It wasn't easy. It wasn't I don't know. I feel like she maybe capitalized on it a bit more than she should have. If it was really, I don't know. It just seemed very staged, if that's it. Not genuine, you know.
Unlike Kyler.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I would have much rather seen the way that you shared on social media, I read it a lot, followed you a lot. It was a much more genuine representation of what you were going through. You know, for Caitlyn, it was like, oh, I made this decision today, it's over. And the rest was history, you know? And it's like.
You just said something interesting, and then it's over. And Kyler, earlier you mentioned a year ago, you started your trans journey. And I think it's important to point out that it is a journey, a lifelong journey. You're never really done. Are you? Fully cooked?
I don't think so. I mean, like, I'll always be on testosterone for the rest of my life. So there's that'll never be over unless I decide to not continue on with taking testosterone. But
some people do, right? Like Jenna mentioned our friend Lana, who was very open on the podcast about wanting to keep what she calls her candy cane between her legs. We were talking about bottom surgery, and she was actually very educational to me that a lot of trans people really don't change their genitals very much. And it's a very personal and individual decision. So she's keeping that candy cane. Good for her.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to do the 3 pieces of advice you have.
Why? Okay, yeah, we'll save that. Yes, that was one of my questions. But I wanted to talk about dating because I was trying to segue talking about genitals to dating. See? Are you still in that relationship that you started at the beginning of COVID?
No.
Oh, he's single.
Yes.
How long have you been single?
I have been single for 2 months.
No.
But wait, okay. Was that from the person that you started transitioning with?
Yes, but it was a very off and on relationship. So, but officially, like, it's been over for 2 months. But
have you dated as a trans man? See what I'm saying? Because that woman knew you as your previous self. So this would be the first time you meet someone as Kyler, right? In a romantic situation.
Yes. I haven't really, because of COVID, it's kind of difficult too. But I haven't even really tried. I mean, I've been on Tinder and like Hinge and all those, but I did have a couple of unfortunate experiences with women on there. So I kind of was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna work on myself for now and not bother with that.
Breach. Breach.
Was it that because they found out you were trans?
No,
Good.
Not really. It was just I had told them that I was trans and I was recovering from top surgery, and they were like, "Oh, you go, girl," and I was like,
"Oops."
I was like, "All right."
You don't quite get what this is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, "All right, I'm done here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ignorance you have to navigate. That's frustrating.
The men on the app aren't as great either. Trust me. The apps just are. And sometimes I feel like they're just more discouraging than they are encouraging. And sometimes it feels so much better to delete them.
Yeah. Now, Jenna, maybe this was stepping on your 3 pieces of advice, but I wanted to ask what you would suggest for somebody that thinks they might be trans, but they're not really sure. Like, because I don't imagine it's the kind of thing you can just start hormones and decide, they're not working and then stop, or can you?
Actually, I have known several people who have started testosterone and then decided that wasn't for them and stopped taking testosterone.
Oh, wow.
I think really for people who are probably struggling and not sure, really the only thing that's going to help is to just start exploring. Have people call you by different pronouns, even if it's like they, them pronouns, he, him pronouns, whatever. Have people call you by different names, see how that feels. Even changing how you dress. If you dress feminine, try dressing masculine and see how that feels. You're not going to know until you just go ahead and do it, right? So I would say just start exploring with different things like that and see how it feels.
That's really good advice. It's like baby steps, like, okay, I'm going to try this and see if this feels the way I expect it to. And, and then going out and having people kind of see you in a different light too. Yeah, no, it's great advice.
Yeah,
great advice when trying out a new sex toy too. Work your way up.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Just don't go into the store and start trying all the samples, okay?
So yeah, do you have any advice then for people that are maybe struggling with this or not sure what to do? I mean, just try it. You kind of just said that.
Yeah, I mean, try to reach out to people. That like what really helped me was just reaching out to other trans guys and hearing about their journey and their story and just talking to them and just kind of just trying things out and just talking about it and talking about how you feel. Go see a therapist, talk to your doctor, explore different things and see how it makes you feel. I mean, there's a lot of trans people that I know that when they're asked like, how did you know you were trans? They were like, well, I didn't until I took some steps towards changing my pronouns and trying out different things and going on testosterone. And then I knew, I was trans. This is exactly what I wanted to do type thing. So yeah, I'd say just things like that.
Well, I'm so happy for you. Like I said, I don't know if it was on the recording of this at the beginning, but you're just glowing. Like you look great. You look really confident and, I think it's awesome for you.
I'm getting some like evil queen vibes a little bit, like looking at him. Jealous.
Evil king. King.
No, I'm the evil queen. Oh. I'm the evil queen. Kyler understood. And of course, Kyler, you're an open book on social media. I'm sure you wouldn't mind if people do want to reach out and ask you about your journey. How can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Facebook as Kyler Borthwick, and I am on Instagram at The Real Kyler B.
And we'll definitely tag you in everything we put out there because, I think it's important to have support from others in your community. And like you said, that was one of the biggest things for you that made your transition just a little bit easier on you is the fact that you had a bunch of, it sounds like really great friends to reach out to.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kyler. Happy Pride Month and cheers to our moms.
Cheers! Woo!